Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next The Reckoning of Roku chapter analysis video. This one's going to be for chapter 48, which is called Fading Warmth. Once again, YouTube channel membership is enabled on the channel if you would like to help support the channel, and subscribing also helps. So another short chapter, but it's important. Even these short chapters, we have big things happening because we're right towards the end of the book here. So with this one, we cut back to Roku. And we start off with the idea that he is snapped out of his connection in a way to the spirit world by an explosion from the entrance to the sacred cave. And kind of highlights the idea that what's happened to Sozin is that he's basically blown himself up. And we get this a blinding burst of blue flames burnt out near the entrance to the cave. So Sozin was trying to do some sort of a barrier thing from distance to block Ulo from attacking Roku quite far away, but he's just blown himself up basically at the cave entrance, which is kind of funny, but also, you know, ooh, that's a bit rough. So Roku is now back properly. And he looks over and thinks like, oh, is that Gyatso? So he flies over on fire, but it's an interesting one here. Jet of fire and also using airbending to keep himself from careening out of control. So he's using both elements to stay in line, which is kind of cool. He realizes it's Sozin, and Sozin is like unconscious on the ground. His body is still. And this is where the title drop happens of like he felt his friend's rapidly fading warmth. So Sozin has pretty badly injured himself here at the cave. And yeah, he hasn't been able to control the energy here. And the idea is, why did he do some giant firebending attack? The only reason he would do that is, and he realizes Ulo must be like right behind me basically. And because, you know, he's blown himself up, he obviously hasn't done anything to affect Ulo. And Roku spins around and Ulo is there at the top of the hill once again, the center of the power. And he does this giant waterbending attack. He builds this towering wave. It crests at the height of a fire temple. And it's crossing across the cavern here. So it's this huge, wide-scale, giant waterbending attack. A full wave of water here in this giant arena, basically. Roku shields himself and Sozin with airbending while it goes past, basically. And Ulo is continuing to kind of like, you know, channel his bending, basically. This is where Roku realizes, like, this is not just me versus Ulo. This is now me fighting to save the life of my brother here. And this changes things for Roku. He unfortunately has to forget his promise to Gyatso. Roku would not lose both brothers. He shifts into an offensive stance, thrust a striking palm forward, but withheld the fire's release. Instead, he let his fire-bending energy build, no longer trying to hold himself back. A slip of blue fire sprouted from the base of his palm and stayed in place, expanding as he charged it with his anger. The surrounding air shimmered and shivered as the quavering flame grew. He released it. A spiraling blast of iridescent flames erupted from Roku's open palm, incinerated the hill, and filled the entire chamber. The world shook as heat and fire saturated the space and pushed outward. The mounting pressure was too much to contain. The sacred cave shook, then gave way. The ceiling burst apart and collapsed. So we get this devastating offensive attack from Roku where he actually controls the energy and just delivers a full force attack here. And it's so powerful that he sends this column of fire through the hill at the center of the sacred cavern. And obviously Ulo is on that hill. And obviously the description of this is that it says that like it incinerates the hill, it fills the entire chamber. So this attack affects everything in there. So this is obviously like evaporating all the water in there. Entire chamber gone. It creates so much like pressure within the cave that it collapses it. The ceiling like bursts open basically. Huge, crazy attack. Probably one of the most powerful ones we've maybe ever seen in the franchise overall, because it's just this charging everything into just a kind of laser beam of heat fire here. So we get iridescent fire, which is nice to see. Starts out as blue, of course, but there's so much here, it just has all the different colors. So it's almost like the Ran Shaw kind of fire tornado, but like even more powerful and fired outwards. It's a pretty crazy description here. And obviously the idea here is that Ulo could not possibly have survived this. Like, we don't even address Ulo getting hit here, because he did get hit. The entire cave was hit. The only thing that wasn't hit is Roku and Sozin. But even then, they're still in the cave, which is now collapsing, and that's a bad thing. So Roku hasn't been in full control here. The exact extent of this is kind of bad, but it's done so much damage, it's basically made it not exactly a cave anymore, so that's interesting. But yeah, mainly a chapter here for just the description of this finishing lethal attack by Roku here, finally using the full power here to, to counter Ulo, because if Roku was trying to fight Ulo the way he has been up to now, Sozin unconscious on the ground was going to be killed in the middle of all of this. The amount of water that Ulo is using, Sozin was going to get hit by that, because it's already described that, like, yeah, beneath the hill, water's kind of like building up, it's kind of filling up, and there's eventually going to be enough that Sozin's probably going to drown or just die from his injuries, because remember, he's been stabbed already, now he's blown himself up. There's a lot going wrong with Sozin here. But the idea is, of course, Sozin has rushed back to save Roku, but Roku has ended up saving Sozin. That's an important detail, very important detail here. But yeah, love the description of the attack. But in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this one. The key emotional beat being Roku protecting his remaining brother, basically. That whole idea. In the same way that's why Sozin is here, because that's the strength of this connection. They both consider each other to be brothers. But let me know your thoughts. That's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.